I was saying in the last video, some women can hop back on, and I don't know how it cut off or whatever, but anyway, hop back and get back to work after they 6 weeks and this, that, and the third. Honey, me, in my case, again, me as an individual, I can't tell nobody else what they had going on. I feel like I very well could have been in a workplace, but at this time, on my second child, and then especially on my third child, I felt like I wanted to be home with my children. I wanted the opportunity to be in the house with my kids. I didn't want to leave them home by themselves to get jumped, bullied, anything like that. Not saying that was a major issue, but it did try to present itself as issues sometimes. There was, some kids that moved into the neighborhood and tried to start little petty stuff so it could turn into something bigger. And I wanted to protect my kids from all that because I went through that when I was younger. I went through, again, first, second grade, getting beat up because I came home from school. I used to walk home from school and have to use the key to go in the house. First, second grade, 6, 7 years old. And I remember a girl and her brother, they, taunted me and like pretty much jumped on me and stuff like that. And I never wanted my kids to experience nothing like that because that stuff is traumatizing. You can carry that with you on into adulthood. The girl even grew up and went around still telling people I beat her up and this, that, and the third. And it's like, wow. That's to add insult to injury to insult. I'm sorry if I said it the backwards way or whatever. But yeah, I don't want my kids experiencing it. I want my kids to be able to look back and say, well, we had at least a decent childhood. We had a yard to play in. My mom always, if there was any bully, she always addressed it before, although I shouldn't be the only one addressing the stuff anyway. It should be placed both equally on, I won't even say equally, but definitely on responsibility on both parents. But the father should be there to, So, of course, with that said, they don't want the men in there. They don't want you letting nobody stay there and staying overnight and all this other stuff or whatever. Trying to enforce that you don't have no man living with you and all that. But this is the thing with mine. If I did and if I was to get married and stuff like that, you can put that man on the lease and, that stuff is both of y'all receiving government assistance. And the only thing about it is people's pride. Because I remember feeling pride about it or whatever, not wanting people to know my business or anything. And for one, you don't need to know. For confidentiality purposes, you shouldn't know. You should be so busy minding your business that you don't know what other people have going on in their house and stuff like that unless they sit and tell you. Now, some things are just obvious and you can see and you can know, but even still, as a person, why would you look down on somebody? That's what they have to do. If you're in a better position, be glad that you're in a better position and keep on doing what you're doing. And I don't even want to say better position because I just want to say if the resources is there for you to collect, you rather just, because of your pride, oh no, I ain't collecting that, I'm gonna just let it sit there. Okay, well, you go ahead and keep up with the Joneses, the Smiths, the this, the that. I'm not doing that, and I'm one that's big on that. It is what it is. You got EBT, use it. You got whatever resources available to you that you can help simplify it for yourself and even to help get yourself to a better position and mindset. Utilize it. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't utilize it for this long. And I know it was intended for it to be like a gateway or, something to use in between time or whatever. But it is what it is. Some people, it takes them longer. You don't know what they're going through behind closed doors. You don't know any circumstantial things that's going on with them that would have them use it for an extended period of time. I'm not going to go into details for how long I've been utilizing it, but I'm going to just say this. It's what works for me, and it's my business, and you know what I'm saying? And people just jeer at you, sneer at you, all of that stuff. But then you turn around and you see people so brokenhearted because they actually can physically, let's just use this as an example. They physically see somebody losing a loved one to death, to violence, or whatever the case may be. They all brokenhearted, but don't know sometimes this person have been the most evil type person. Not saying that person deserves to lose somebody, but I'm just saying this person been so evil, and y'all all acting like you're grieving with this person because they lost a person or something like that. But other people they might not have lost anybody, but they going through stuff in life that can bring them down or bring their spirits down and stuff like that. And people are not quick to have that same concern. So to me, people are just concerned about what they can see outwardly, and even that's just a form of concern, and that's just for that day, for the funeral, or you know what I'm saying. And then after that, everybody goes back to business as usual. People are not really concerned about one another like that, like in my opinion. And in my experience, don't have support. I've had people quote scripture to me and say certain stuff because based on what they thought I was doing or wasn't doing. And I just be like, Lord have mercy. Like, people need to mind their business. If God put the government in place, and I say that because the Bible does say the government rests upon the shoulders of Christ, and I believe that's the government that's actually doing right, the government that's not corrupt, then why can't believers, and I guess unbelievers as well, but definitely believers, utilize the resources that God put in place for them? That's something that He provides in His hedge of protection for people, for His according to His will, what I believe anyway. For provision, should I say? Because He knew that people were going to mess up, were going to get pregnant out of wedlock, have children, and this, that, and the third, you know what I'm saying, and not be able to truly make it. And then the bottom line is the majority of people was not born into a silver spoon family where they have something set up that they can pass down. People, so many older generations died. They don't leave their kids and grandkids stuff behind, and that's what the Bible says too. You're supposed to leave stuff down to, like, I think it's the 4th generation after you. So to me, this is part of what is available to me from my grandparents and great grandparents working into and stuff like that. But people they look at you side eye, and I guess because they got to go beat that pavement, or they feel like they got to go beat that pavement every day. Whatever you got to do with your life, or you feel you need to do, you don't need to be hating on or looking at somebody else a type of way because that's what you feel like you got to do. And that's where some of my complaints come from. Even the other day, that's what came up when I was kind of going back and forth with the man, the dude. I'm not even calling him a man. The so-called neighbor, so-called elderly man, dude not across the street, but next door. He was bringing up stuff about my personal life. He allowed his grandson to speak on stuff. And me, if I hear my kids saying something disrespectful and something that's not their business to an adult, that's when I'm be like, honey, go on in the house. Like, we could talk about this or whatever. My kids might know the truth or might know the facts about stuff, but allowing your kids and grandkids and stuff to just say anything to people and not shut them down and not correct them, it's just too much. So, that came up or whatever. It was told that they were going to call the landlord. I know who to call to get your ass out of it. Why? Why are you so cool? Because I'm telling you, I don't want you to intrude on what I have going on over here. Like, this is my life. This is my yard. Don't bother with me. I know what to do. It's like because they want to control you, or if they feel like they got less than you. You can't tell me nothing because you ain't got this in your pocket. I don't. And I went on and told him, I said, I don't care what material things you got, what monetary things you got. I'm not beneath you. And I'm not even going to argue with that. I will state that, but I'm not going to argue that back and forth. I'm just letting it be known. I don't feel less than you. You ask me, I might feel like I'm doing better than you, especially, just internally. Not it's the intangible things. And they think because of this tangible stuff. And I just be like, Lord. But I do look back, and I knew I had goals. I had tried to sign up for HUD housing. I didn't get approved. This is back in 2009 or so. I didn't get approved for whatever reason, and I feel like that was God's protection. Hey, I might not have been able to handle that at that age or whatever the case may be, and God knew what was coming up the pipeline for my life. Then I also was trying to sign up for Habitat for Humanity, so I could work on building my own house and stuff like that. That way, nobody had nothing to say. Only thing I don't like is that you can't choose your location and stuff like that, for where your house is built. But I like programs like that. I think that's cool because you get to learn the skills of building. I think that is so awesome. And if I had more time, I only had one child at that time, but if I was more wise with my time and stuff like that and wasn't so tired from dealing with her dad back in that time and trying to maintain work and school, I would have invested more of my time there. That would have been my priority. So, because anything to eliminate people's comments and stuff. But you know what? I'm realizing it's just talk. You can ignore it, if they want to take certain action or whatever. And make themselves look stupid or jump through all these hoops just to try to, I guess, sabotage or get you out of somewhere, let them go ahead. And that's what I've been experiencing. But again, to me, um, I be seeing memes and stuff where say, oh, how you doing such and such. Maybe even how you got an iPhone and you only paying $35, something like that. I don't know. But my thing is, stay out of people's business. Me personally, I don't do that. I don't have an iPhone. Never purchased one. I do try to live within my means. Only thing I might splurge on is a nice meal or whatever. But I just, I don't even, and honestly, I don't even have a car right now, a vehicle right now. But all my vehicles that I did have in the past, I bought them and they was always used. So, they was only going to last for so long with having a previous drive. I've never had a new car, a leased vehicle or whatever. I just always wanted to buy it out. And I was just rough on my cars and stuff. And like I said, some of them was already came with problems. So, it was only temporary. And after that, I just decided, hey, and I still got my license to this day, but after that, I just decided, hey, I'm not going to, I'm not getting nothing else. And now I have children, and it is what it is. So I rode buses, 60, had my little half off. It was 60 cents a ride, and had to pay for my children, and it was fine. I'm at a point now where I'm not riding the bus as much. I just either utilize a ride share or something like that, but I don't go anywhere much. So, I can afford that. But yeah, and I'm still at home with my children. And the person that I was involved with, he told me, he was like, I like you being, when I lost my job, when I first started dealing with him, he was like, I like you being at home. Like, that's on our first son. And I was getting his daughter too, so maybe that's what it was. And of course I had my daughter here. And I'm here when you go to school, and I'm here when you come home, and I enjoyed that. And it wasn't my intention to set out to be a house wife or house mom or anything like that, stay at home mom. But that's just how it unfolded. And for the past almost 11 years or so, I've been that. And I have had 2 or 3 jobs within that time frame. But they were so temporary, because either one time my child threw up and he had diarrhea at the same time. I reached out to the dad, can you go get him? Can you do this? He wouldn't. Guess what? It's on mom. He left it on mom. And baby, let me tell you something. I firmly believe that a man needs to be a provider more so than a female. A man will never carry a child, as far as childbirth and pregnancy. Now, of course, I feel like they carry them in the beginning when they got that sperm. And they shoot them in there, not to be graphic or whatever, but in this, the way that a woman's body has to carry that child for 9 months and this and the third. Again, I don't care what the next female is going through. Some females are high risk pregnancy, some females are not, but don't expect my time frame and my recovery to be the same as yours. There is a general, for when you recover or whatever, because it shouldn't be that drastic, but don't expect my life to look like what yours should, and don't expect me to conform to what others think I'm supposed to conform to when it comes to something like that. And so yeah, just going back to the Section 8 topic. Then I see older females that have it, and then the subleasing I've seen. I've actually lived in mine, maintained, ain't sublease. I mean, God is literally watching. God is still watching behind my closed doors what you do. There have been times when I felt like, hey, I want to use myself to entertain, because I felt like it's mine. I didn't, even though don't necessarily own it. Again, people paid into it for me to enjoy and for me to utilize. I don't think they paid into it for me to be anybody's slave. And so, there's times when I wanted to use it as entertainment, but I always said my house ain't the hangout spot, so that's what kept me from doing that. But people I'm telling you, hawk watching and worrying about what you got going on in the wrong type of way, and then somehow getting those comments back, trying to penetrate me. And of course I heard, get a job and this, that, and the third, and it's like, baby, to me, if you sit down and talk to me, I do not have to do what y'all out here doing. That's not arrogance, that's just confidence, that's just, now do they put that pressure on you and make you feel like you doing something wrong? That's why I be saying, well, maybe the term Section 8 witchcraft is, it's something about it or whatever, and it could still be, but this is the thing about it for me, for how I see it. It's a blessing to me from God, and it's like, maybe it's not the ideal, but it's what's going on right now. And if you doing your thing and you out here prospering in a different type of way. You will have a mortgage, you own your house. Wonderful. I shouldn't be looking at you sideways or nothing like that. But the struggle real, period. Because when they people with these mortgages and stuff and taking on too much, more biting off more than they can chew, it'd be some other stuff if you have to start all the way from the bottom, or from the so-called bottom, should I say. But anyway, the moral for that is like, don't worry about me. Mind your business, into your life or whatever. And people got this thing where they want to see you do better and this, that, and the third, but it's not. I didn't sit down and discuss that with you. I didn't ask for your unsolicited advice. And then furthermore, you're not doing it with good intentions. You're doing it because you want somebody to appear to look like what you look like, and this, that. You know what I'm saying? You don't really want people doing better, because then when if they start doing better and doing better than you, you feel some type of way, and they come up with ways to try to sabotage you then. So, it's just that deep, and I'm probably gonna speak on this some more, but because my thoughts just be everywhere when I'm talking about this. But I'm just tired of people just running their mouth and don't even know what they're talking about, and and just the boldness of, I'm gonna use your stuff, whether it's government assisted or anything, but then I'm gonna stand in the other side on the crowd where people can talk about you and stuff like that, and I'm gonna make fun of you, like that stuff right there. Then you have to even recoup from stuff like that. Like, dang, I sometimes just go in my room and I'm like, God, what's the right way? Like, what's going on? It makes you have doubts and second thoughts and stuff like that. Mind you, I opened my mouth in ignorance and immaturity when I was younger, and I told my daughter's father, I can admit to it, I said, yeah, that's why your mom was on Section 8, this, that, and the third, for whatever reason we was getting into it, and he did certain stuff to me, but I said little stuff to him or whatever, and I was messing with him. Did I ever dare and go say anything to his mom about what she had? Well, we've had conversations, but I didn't go and tell her and look down on her, or that I recall anyway. I was enjoying going over there chilling with him. She had a roof over her head. That was that. I was young. I was 17 years old. I don't know if I was 16 when I got with him, but definitely 17, and I was good over there. I felt safe. That wasn't necessarily the case, because anything could have popped off, but I was okay. And like I said, some young people do, not all, because some young people just got better manners even than I had. But I tried to be a mannerly person. But me and him getting stuff, and I would say little stuff, and it was drug trafficking and stuff going on over there, but it wasn't heavy as far as what I could see or whatever. Whatever she was doing her stuff in a more clean type of way. But I made comments because I was a child. But when I got older, and I see what's going on in the adult world, I didn't sit around and talk about nobody. And speak on nobody's situation, especially nobody's situation that I wasn't up close and personal and didn't know what was going on or whatever. With him, I knew some of what was going on, and I was just messing with him. I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, but I was messing with him. So now he says, he starts to say, oh, see, you reap what you sow. You said this about my mom, this, that, and the third. Because of course, coming from the household I was in, my mom wasn't on that her and my stepdad, they had owned one house. They bought one house, they started there, they owned it, they still own it, I believe, to this day. And then they went on and got them the house that they're in now, and that's where I came from. But that's what all he saw and met me at. He didn't see me when I was living in the projects or living in a house that had Section 8, so I already knew. I didn't really know what it was back then when I was living in it, but I already knew of these types of environments. So I'll just be like, boy, if you really think that because I may have said that one time about your mom or whatever to mess with you, that this is why I'm dealing with this or whatever. I don't even want to say dealing with it, because it is. It's okay for me. The only issues I have is people coming from outsiders and third parties. I've been all right in the place that God has designed for me and laid out for me. But he thinks it's connected to him. And this is the thing, it is connected to you because I had a child with you. So, that's what prompted me to get on the waiting list, because I didn't want to have a child and not be able to provide for her. He was in and out of prison, jail and stuff like that over and over and over. And it's like, what kind of life is my child gonna have with you doing that? And then, like I talked about the incident where I found the drugs on his, just keep it real, his nutsack or whatever. And after you took his pants and stuff off, I don't want that for my life. So hey, I'd rather be on Section 8 than to be dealing with this drug dealing dude. And he out there, honey. You out for one, I don't like when people selling poison to people, selling hard drugs to people, or I don't even like nobody selling weed to people, just period. Like, that's where I be feeling like, go get you a job, especially as a male or man or whatever. But if you don't, I'm not gonna force you. All I'm gonna do is just disassociate with stuff that I don't want to be associated with. And if you're in my vicinity and then you having a little argument or whatever, especially with me and him, I might have said little stuff about what his what his job was or whatever, but what his profession was, so-called profession was. But yeah, I just disassociate. That's just, I mean, I know how to do that. It's okay to disassociate. It's okay to ignore, and not let things penetrate or whatever. And that's what I've chosen to do. Some call it the high road or whatever. I just call it the road where, it's difficult, because sometimes you don't want to disassociate. You want what you think is better. But that he chose that, and it is what it is. But you ain't finna control me just because you got drug money. Like, I remember him coming over here, holding out his money and all this, and thinking he was better than me. And I just be like, boy, see, if you got money, have money, but don't let money have you. And that's what he be doing. Well, then, I don't know what he does now, but I just be like, y'all wild out here. And I don't like stuff like that. And that's just me as a person, Anybody can comment, correct me where I'm wrong or whatever, or state your opinion, if you come across this video. I don't have no viewers or many viewers right now, because right now I'm trying to, like, kind of just get the information out there, speak on what I want to before I get any type of attention. So I don't really advertise it or anything like that, but the right ears will hear it one day, maybe spread the word and whatever the case may be. But I'll go into more detail about that, because it's so much that could be said about Section 8, public housing, stuff like that. And yeah, I just feel like people are so petty and so mean. They'll pick on you for stuff like that instead of just whatever you got. If you got a nice pair of shoes, you got a nice house, live in it, wear it. You don't gotta talk about the person that does not have that. And if it's that bad to you, if it's that bothersome or offensive to you, then you buy them one, or you contribute to their life being up to par according to the way that you see it or think, instead of talking about. And I'm sorry, but in the black community, a lot of people do that. If you don't have a car, if you sitting in the projects and you got you a nice Benz and this, that, and the third, people, that's their priorities. That's not my priorities. I always wanted to live better than what I drove. And then, if you need to drive in class or whatever, bring it on up, as you go along. But then definitely my kids take precedence over all. Well, I want a place to put them, but my kids take precedence over all that. There's a lot. And then when a man or male leaves you behind or whatever to raise their children, and then they acting like they on the outside, like they never been up close and personal with you, but you got the kids that look just like them to show and prove. Baby, you laid up in here real good, enjoyed yourself. You ate the breakfast of champs on the EBT and all that. So don't, what I'm saying? Don't try to play me. You're really playing yourself pretty much in the long run. You might look like you the winner or whatever now, or whatever the case may be, because of your ego, but you really played yourself, and it is what it is. So but I think that's all I'm gonna say for right now. I just want people to be mindful and watch your mouth. You 18 and under, that's something different. You making comments. I'm not saying it's okay, but you grown. Stop making comments about people's life, about stuff that you wasn't there walking it out with them. You don't know where they came from, and then for somebody to again not know that I have struggle and I lived in the struggle when I was younger. I think the part of the struggle that I remember is that I had cheaper toys. When it came for Christmas time, it was cheaper dollar store toys and the baby dolls that fell apart, where other people had Barbie dolls, that didn't fall apart so quickly. That's the part of the struggle I do remember. And that's pretty much it. And shoot, even a place or two where we live, and we had roaches and stuff like that. And what I'm saying, that's part of the struggle or whatever. But that's about it. Other than that, I was taken care of as far as I knew. I felt like I was being tended to. Oh, and the latchkey kid being neglected. Well, but not neglected, but because your mom or whoever had to go to work, or wherever they are, or whoever's watching, you have to go to work, and sometimes you have to be at home by yourself. And me being the oldest, and at the time I wasn't the only child, but I was the oldest, and so that's that or whatever. But yeah, I'll come back and speak some more on it, but it's just something, man.